Hello and welcome to LA Currents. I'm Anita Bennett. Recently, the City Council confirmed Heather Hutt to represent Council District 10. She's filling a seat left vacant when Councilmember Mark Ridley Thomas was suspended due to indictment charges. Now that she is on the council, Hutt is laying out her plans for the district, and she joins us now to discuss those plans. Hello and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes. So what plans do you have for CD10?
Oh, so many. First, I want to let you know CD10 is my home and has been my whole life. So I really love this community, and I raised my 3 boys here. My plan is to use all the city resources possible to bring CD10 back to where it was. We're doubling down on the work that we're doing with our homeless population, make sure our homeless neighbors are housed. We'll be executing Councilmember Mark Ridley Thomas's engagement systems, partnering with experts to make sure mental health services are provided, housing services are provided, job services are provided. I want to say that when we got our homeless count, 1,300 people, and this was in February, were identified as unhoused in CD10. Between February and now, we have identified that just about 30% of those folks have been housed, and we'll continue to fight to make sure that they are housing secure.
And you say you want to bring the district back to where it was. What are you referring to?
You know, when I was a kid, it was safer.
Mm-hmm.
We were not as worried about taking a walk around the block as we are today. Our senior citizens could walk to the grocery store or go pay a bill. I want that to happen again, that our children feel good about where they are and can play outside. And I'm going to use all the resources possible to make that happen.
Okay. You mentioned homelessness. That is the most pressing issue in the city, every council member I talk to. Can you give any specifics on how we tackle this?
For our district, we have a homeless liaison, someone that actually goes out and has conversations with people that are unhoused so that they understand if they're resistant, they can understand if they have a drug problem, or they can understand if they're ready. And many times we find folks that have vouchers that don't know how to execute their vouchers. And then that helps expedite their housing piece because we have boots on the ground having the real conversations with people that need help. And we'll continue to do that.
Are there any tiny home villages or transitional housing developments being erected in the district?
We have some now that are made out of containers, and they have been successful in housing folks. Actually, I want to say that Councilmember Herb Wesson put one right on the property that was his field office, and that's for women and children. And it is successfully being utilized now. We have another one at Lafayette, near Lafayette Park, and that's successfully being used by men and women. And so those are the projects that we have now, and we're looking for other spaces to house people in permanent supportive housing, bridge housing, and in emergency housing.
Okay. Now, are there any other services for the unhoused on the horizon?
Absolutely. We have in South Los Angeles a therapeutic van that goes out when someone's having a crisis so that they don't have to try to find an emergency room or urgent care. You call into the fire station and they send out the therapeutic van. And we also will soon have a mobile clinic. We have partnered with the County Department of Mental Health Services, and we'll have that service available. I want to say the therapeutic van is available 24 hours, and there's a psychiatric mobile advanced team right there that will be able to determine what issues the client has and how they can help them.
So there are trained professionals with the vans.
That's right.
Okay, that is.
And it's in South Los Angeles, so it's going to cover a broad area, but it's going to cover people of color. And those professionals are going to understand what the various issues are.
What has been the reaction to your appointment in the district? What are you hearing when you go out into the community?
People are really happy to have a voting member. They felt disenfranchised. They felt like it was taxation without representation. And they're really excited about it. Our neighborhood councils are saying, you know, I'm so glad you're here. We need these things. We have a vocal district that knows how to send an email when they're concerned about agenda items or reach out when they're concerned about different city issues. And they were the ones that reached out to council president and said, hey, we need a voting member. And that is really the trigger that started the appointment process.
So a very active engagement in the community.
That's right.
Okay. But there was also some opposition to your appointment. How do you reach out to those who have concerns? How do you engage them?
So I have engaged folks that opposed the process, which is, you know, what they feel like they were not a part of. And I let them know that the charter allows the city council members to make the appointment. Once they understood that this was completely legal, they realized that their representation was important. And we're working together to build bridges so that we could work together to make CD10 what it should be.
And a lot of civic groups supported you, Black, Brown, Asian. What did that mean to you?
You know, it was the fabric of what California is. It's the fabric of the city. People of different cultural backgrounds all wanting the same thing. Representation, they want a voice, they want a vote. And they all shared that message. And I was really excited to know that they thought I could do that for them. I was glad to know that they knew me because I've been working in government for quite some time, and they were confident that I would be able to execute goals that work best in the community.
It's interesting you mentioned you've worked in government for quite some time. What made you want to, you know, work in public service?
Oh, my story is very interesting. My mother was the housing director for Councilman Bob Farrell in the 70s, which was the 8th district, right? And she was a single mom, which meant what? After school, we had to go to the evening meetings, and I'd be the little girl on the sign-in, you know, like, sign in here. And back then, there weren't big copy machines, and they didn't correlate. So my sister and I, we would be the stapler, and we would hand out the paper. And so we were, I guess by osmosis, taking in how important government is to the operation of our community. So it is not a foreign space for me to be in. So I understood back then that I needed to help people. I understood back then. And she really made us know what it was like to be less fortunate than we were. Like, we by no means were, you know, a fortunate family. We, you know, single mom, she worked hard, and that's why we didn't have a babysitter. That's why we went to the meetings. But if we wanted to have a party, you had to bring a toy or a canned food, and it had to go to someone else. So we always were taught to give.
So during the pandemic, businesses were lost across the city. In CD10, how have businesses been coming back, and what are business owners telling you?
They are coming back. Some of them are coming back slower, less staff, not the same amount of customers that they had before, but they are coming back. And so we're looking for ways to make sure that they are supported. So I was on a call earlier today with Crenshaw Chamber, and U.S. Bank was on that call, and they let me know that they're there to help small businesses. So I'm going to have an engagement with them to understand how they can help our small businesses in CD10 exactly, and what that looks like. Remember, I worked in the U.S. Senate during the pandemic when it first hit. I was on the very first call with the Department of Homeland Security and the CDC about the flight that came in from Hunan, China, where we were repatriating State Department members and their families. So I know about the pandemic. And then when it was time to make sure we could secure our small businesses, I had conversations with the businesses about what their needs were, because not everybody could qualify for SBA loans, otherwise they would have been. And that is the birth of PPP, when people from all over the country brought in their concerns so that when they did the CARES Act, there was something there that our small businesses could have. So now circling back with banks and CDFIs about how you can uplift these businesses is part of my big plan.
Okay. And having worked at the national level, how are you applying that experience to what you're doing now with the council?
So it is very different because you can see the fruits of your labor right here at the council, where and nationally it was a broad law. It would take time to trickle down into the state and then to the local level. But, you know, all politics are local, and I'm happy to be right here where you could see you vote today and the work starts tomorrow.
Exactly. And everything from, you mentioned, tree trimming and things like that, things that really affect people day to day.
You know something? I drive to work on the streets because I want to see the tree trimming in the street, honestly, and instead of catching the freeway where you would miss all of that. So today I was going down Obama and I saw the street closure where they were repaving. So I was just really happy to see that in the neighborhood, like the work is getting done.
Mm-hmm. That's a great little anecdote. You are the first woman to represent CD10 and the first Black woman. What does that mean to you?
First of all, it is incredible that there hasn't been a woman here before. I mean, of any color. And for it to be me is a great responsibility. I have to show little girls of any color that they can do this. Because if you can see it, what? You could be it, right? Mm-hmm. And so I have to be my best self, not just for the constituents, but for the little girls who need to say, hey, I could be her. Like, I'm not a great her, but at least I'm a her that they could say, I'll be that. And it's exciting. I intend to bring girls into the office so that they can see behind the door other women and men working in government. They can make that choice.
So you're mentoring young people.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Did you have mentors along the way?
I did. I had amazing mentors. First of all, I had my mom, Jackie Hickman, who, like I said, worked in the city, but she did some incredible things with women like Mary Henry, Johnny Tillman, and Brenda Marsh Mitchell. Can I give you an example?
Sure.
When I was a kid, there were women that were, they were called welfare rights mothers. And they organized, like they were real organizers. They got 2 buses of women and they drove to La Cienega in Beverly Hills to Laurie's. And they got out of that bus and went in and ordered prime rib and they paid for it with food stamps. It was an uproar. But they wanted the right to have good food. They wanted the right to be able to use their food stamps for other food than the substandard that was in their neighborhood. And over time, that example morphed into what? Better meats in their markets, and also an opportunity to use the EBT at the Jack in the Box or the KFC, where you couldn't do that before. And for our unhoused neighbors, that's how you get a hot meal when they have the EBT, if they have that resource. So I saw women fighting for rights so that they didn't have to have substandard living, and that's deep in me. I appreciated that experience and will continue to fight. Also, Gwen Moore. My Auntie Gwen was an assembly member for 16 years. She's the woman who wrote the Lifeline. You know, the telephone costs for low-income families so that they didn't have to pay high rates like everybody else. And that is pretty incredible because now that has moved over to our cellular phones and low-income families get a reduced rate. Same way. And then Maxine Waters. She's my forever mentor. And she called in right after I got sworn in and said congratulations so that everyone could hear that she was happy for me.
Oh, that's nice.
And we'll work together. That's right.
Wow. And you are still giving back. You just helped host an HBCU day in the district. Why is it important to do things like that?
I don't want to be cliche, but education is our future, and our children need to be educated. HBCUs, a great option. We don't have any in California, so when you can bring them here, I think that we should amplify the work that we do. On that day, we had 250 students come in and actually sit with college counselors and talk about what their future looks like. And then we have a partnership, I'm going to say it right, the Black College Success. And they work with schools in Los Angeles to help students with laptops, help them write their essays, their personal statements, really to equip them for that next level. And we're going to continue to partner with them.
What are some of the other groups that you're partnering with, like church groups or different organizations to help folks in the community?
Oh, we have so many HOPICs, which is a homeless outreach team, and we partner with them to get people housed. We partner with Second Call, which works in a space to secure neighborhoods that may have some gang interruption, or folks that might be a little more aggressive than others. When they see our partners Second Call, they're less likely to be aggressive. So those are just two examples. We partner with Brotherhood Crusade. They do a lot of work with children and really help them grow. We also partner with Genesis, which is a domestic violence organization that has some housing right in CD10 where women and men can go if they need to flee their current living situation, need a safe haven, and then need to stand on their own. So those are just a few examples. Homies Unidos, KYC in Koreatown, other organizations that we work with to really give people a lift.
I was just talking to a friend who lives in your district, and he said he thought he had COVID, but no health insurance. So can people still get tested for free in the district?
Absolutely. You can get tested for free in the district. You can get tested for free at CVS. But you can do emergency covered California if you need health care. That is still available. Obamacare is still available. And so tell your friend to go on the Covered California website and fill out the documents so that they can have health care.
He just got a job, so.
Okay, yay.
He'll be okay.
Well, yay.
Your appointment will last as long as there is a vacancy in the council. Do you see yourself possibly in the future running for elected office?
Today, I cannot say yes. There is so much work to be done that if this becomes available, I think it's 2024, I can think about it in the future. But honestly, there is so much work to be done. I'm focused on that. Even executing the things that were in the new fiscal. There's so many different things that need to happen in CD10. I can't think about a campaign.
Okay. You heard it here first. When you went from caretaker to council member, can you talk a little bit about how that transition was for you?
Yes, it was quick. Fortunately, I can think on my feet. I spent a lot of time, especially during the Trump administration, having to move quickly in California because he hated California. And so easing into a space that needed work done immediately was something that I was equipped for. So it was a smooth transition. I have an amazing team. Everybody that I work with is on the ready. They're very strong people and they understand the district. And so they just, lift and push and we all roll together. And so having a great team is so much of the work that you do.
And Council President Nuri Martinez has also been very supportive.
Completely supportive. I should have put her on my mentor list because she certainly does understand the city and the complexities of all of it. I appreciate her leadership, and I'm really proud to be able to work with the council president.
With inflation where it is and folks needing more help and food insecurity, Are there places people can go in the district? Are you aware to get, some food donations and whatnot?
Sure, we have World Harvest is right on Venice and Arlington, and they have food baskets. Many times throughout the year, Mothers in Action does a food giveaway. And in our office, we're building out a food giveaway in December where we know people will be housing insecure.
Since you officially became a council member, has anything surprised you about the process?
The things that surprise me, how quick motions come in from committees. Like they come in quickly. You have to make some decisions on how you're going to vote on various things that are really important to your community. And so the speed of that, well, U.S. Senate, they were slow. Those are old men making slow decisions, So the motions come in quickly, and you have to be prepared and have good background. And we have a great team that brings in the background that is necessary to understand how you should be voting. So I think the speed that things move is something that it took me a moment to get used to. Even as chief of staff, I was like, whoa, this is moving fast. So.
Wow, so definitely a change from the national to the local level.
Correct,
wow.
Correct.
Well, there is a lot of hope about the future in CD10, and we thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me. I do want to say we're excited about what we'll be able to do in the future, hitting the ground running, tackling the tough stuff, and then making our community more unified. I'm looking forward to bringing all that diverse tapestry that you saw coming together and doing even more things. If folks want to get in touch with our office, then what they need to do is get your pen out if you still have pens, cd10.lacity.gov. And I had to look because we changed to .gov. So that's how you get in touch with us. That's how you can see what our updates are and our upcoming events.
All right, so cd10.lacity.gov.
That's right. That's how you get in touch with us.
All righty. Well, Councilwoman, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for watching. This is LA Currents, and I'm Anita Bennett.